Hi guys, Tab here, hope you're all keeping well. It's video time again. Yes, these come around quickly. Another Lotus video, but this one is not going to be about the Emira. I've done a couple on that already, a few on that, 3, 12, 15, they're all over the place right now. This one's going to be about the new, slightly different Lotus, the Eletre. Yeah, I know, bizarre name. It kind of makes me want to say it in French, en français, Eletre, but no, it is indeed Eletre. And the problem here is that it is very different to Lotuses that you might, Lotuses that you might have known previously. This one is going to be heavy. Now, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Don't forget, this is hopefully going to be a channel where we can give some money back to good causes, so it could be a good thing. Please do subscribe, massively appreciate it if you haven't already. But the topic for this video, yes, the Eletre. And the size of the thing, and the DNA of the thing, and where it's come from. It's an interesting one, right? So those of you that know cars, and those of you that are watching this probably do know cars, will know that Lotus has historically been a brand that is really focused on small, lightweight, compact, fast, nimble cars. The likes of the XEs, the likes of the Elise, the Emira, the Evora, all pretty small, all pretty compact, and all pretty good round a track, right? Great drivers' cars, and everyone that's owned one really does rave about the fun factor. Now, we know they had a bit of an electric experimentation with the Evija, which was kind of an interesting take. I mean, it's very expensive. This next car, the Eletre, is going to be a bit more affordable, but still pretty expensive, let's be frank. So what is this car all about? Well, let's kind of tear it down a bit and have a look at it. Now, the first thing to note about this car is the fact it's an SUV. I'm not an SUV fan. I think it's kind of the worst of all worlds, not the best of all worlds tied together. For example, they're big, cumbersome, heavy. I know, I get they're practical, and they suit a lot of people right down to the ground, which is absolutely fine, but they're just not for me. Now, this car is pretty big. There is no escaping that. And it really does look like a Lambo Urus. When I first saw it, I thought, Urus. Oh no, wait, it's not an Urus. It is indeed the new Lotus. So if we look at the Emira, that's definitely got styling cues from Ferrari, I think. And if we look at the new Eletre, that has got styling cues from the Urus. So obviously, you know, the engineers that are designing these things aren't necessarily breaking the mold. They're using tried and tested. All the car brands now are looking at SUVs. I mean, I'd never in my lifetime would have expected to see Lambo do an SUV. They did, and it's been very successful. Even McLaren is supposed to be doing an SUV. So Lotus creating an SUV is not unexpected. We all knew that the Emira was the last ICE car Lotus we're ever going to do, so this is kind of a logical progression. And if you want to create an electric car, you're not going to be targeting the drivers with an electric car. Drivers, petrol heads, they're going to want something small, compact, funny. So I can understand why they've positioned an SUV into the market here. They want to capture a bigger market and sell to people that they probably won't be selling the electric version of the Eletre, the electric Eletre. It's very confusing, isn't it? All this electric Eletre, but selling the Eletre. So for example, if I'm an XE owner, probably not going to be interested in the Eletre, but if I'm in the market for a big 4x4 SUV electric type thing, then the Eletre could really tick that box. And again, it's about penetrating new markets, getting the revenue in, and getting Lotus back to a very strong position. The other thing to note here is about the Lotus ownership themselves. So I think it's the Xinjiang Corporation, the Geely Corporation that currently own Lotus. In fact, I noticed that what I'm thinking about there is the pronunciation of Xinjiang. I'm not sure if I've pronounced that correctly, but that is who owns Lotus right now. So the Geely Corporation own Lotus, Chinese-based conglomerate, and we've got to look at where their expertise is and what else they do. So, also, Geely own Volvo. Volvo is part owner of the Polestar brand. So, those of you that are thinking, right, they're probably not going to do a very good job of making an electric car Lotus, because Lotus, all their history, their DNA is in ICE cars, right? Combustion cars and race cars. You've got to remember who currently owns them. And that Geely Corporation, there is a lot of expertise, a lot of R&D capability that goes into the likes of Polestar and Volvo's electrification. Look at Volvo, look at Polestar. Polestar fully electric, Volvo marching very firmly down the road of electrification with hybrid and full electric versions of their XC cars that are out there and doing pretty well. So, Geely also owning Lotus and Lotus marching into electrification is only going to be a good thing for them. And if you're concerned about them doing a good job, I wouldn't be, because quite frankly, I think they are going to be doing a very good job. And I think that the Eletre is going to be a darn good car. Now let's look at the build of this thing and some of the images. The build quality looks phenomenal. I mean, it's very spaceship-esque. The interior looks absolutely amazing. And that's the kind of cool thing about electrification. We're seeing some really crazy experimentation with some of the interior designs, the layouts, the configuration, the specs, and it's kind of taking vehicular interiors to another level, which I kind of really like. So it's going to be a very, very interesting car, and I think it's going to do pretty well. Now, the numbers on the thing, let's have a quick look at those. So we know it's probably going to start at about 100k, so it's not going to be cheap, but you would never expect a car like that to be cheap. I mean, all the equivalent cars, the likes of the e-tron, for example, they're all very, very expensive cars, so you're never going to get into one of these very cheap. But if you compare it to the likes of an Urus, it's a bargain, an absolute bargain. Now, if two of these pull up next to each other, obviously the Urus is going to sound better, and you'll know that the Eletre is definitely without a combustion engine when it pulls off, making some kind of spaceship noise that it undoubtedly will. So yeah, I think for me, even though it's expensive, it is going to be a bargain, especially if the build quality, the fit and the finish is as good as we're seeing in the pictures. The biggest problem is going to be the weight. I mean, they're saying they're targeting what, two tons? No way is it going to be that. It's probably going to be 2.5, pushing 3. If it is 2 tons, it's going to have a battery in it the size of a watch battery, and it'll probably go about 5 miles before running out. So we know we need battery for range. There's no escaping that. Colin Chapman, he's the Lotus, the guy that created Lotus. He's probably going to be turning in his grave because his mantra was add lightness. This is an EV, it's going to be heavy. There is no escaping that. So it's going to be a big old beast, and it's not going to be available until 2023. It looks like Lotus are currently taking pre-orders for this already, getting that interest on the go. I think exactly the same thing happened with the Emira. When they realized just how many pre-orders they had, they panicked and thought, wow, we're going to have to double our staff to be able to get this thing out the door in time. So I think we'll probably see the same with this, because looking at it, I reckon it's going to generate a lot of interest, because it's quite a nice departure from all the other EVs that you see out there at the moment. And when they bring this tech, hopefully, into their next driver's car, we could be in for something very exciting, as we know the likes of Porsche next Cayman's going to be an EV. That Polestar, that tech as well, the Polestar 1, I think looks phenomenal. That's going to be pretty amazing. First two-door coupe type electric vehicle thing as well that I've seen in a while. So quite exciting things for the next electric chapter in Lotus's manufacture of cars. So let's watch this space. Just wanted to have a little conversation around the Eletre, because it's an interesting one for Lotus and a real departure to what we're used to, but I think it could be very exciting. Thanks very much for watching. Do take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.